This week I am in Dallas, Texas, and I am taking a look at the refreshed 2025 Genesis GV80. Now, this is not all new for the 2025 model year, but there are some significant changes. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to walk you through briefly what some of these changes are. Then we're going to get into the 5 good things and 5 bad things about this midsize SUV. My name is Jill Ciminillo with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Let's take a closer look right now. So there isn't a radical departure from design. The shape of the vehicle is essentially the same, but what you're going to notice is that some of the details are refined and refreshed. And so, if you remember from the previous iteration, Genesis has really invested a lot in their 2-line strategy. So this is not necessarily new, but it just kind of carries through the entire vehicle from the wheels, which this wheel pattern is new, and you see the 2 lines here. And then when you come around the front, this is the same with the 2 lines here for the headlights, but the lighting signature behind it is new. So you've got a nice bright LED light that kind of happens there. And then when you move around to the front, the grille is all new. And again, this used to be a single line in this kind of plaid pattern, but now you have this 2-line strategy that's kind of coming through and gives you a different look and feel. The lower fascia is also redesigned, but one of the biggest changes they've made for this model year is this right here. And while it doesn't look any different, it's very different. This used to be a plastic emblem, and this is now metal. And so it is refined, designed, and a lot nicer to look at and actually to touch. This actually it feels really good. So that is a really big change that they've done. And as we walk around to the back of the vehicle, so coming around to the back here, again, this isn't going to be drastically different. You still have the 2-line strategy for the taillights. What is very different is going to be this lower third area right here. They've got a new design and a new pattern there, but the biggest change you're going to see is the exhaust. I guess I should say the biggest thing you don't see is the exhaust, because they've covered it up. So overall, the design gets a little bit more refined, front and back, and there's just a lot more detail that makes this look more elegant. So let's pop inside and check out some of the changes there. All right, so here we are in the interior, and the most obvious change is going to be this 27-inch OLED screen that goes all the way from the driver cluster through the passenger side. And what's really neat that they've done here is the map itself goes from this screen right here, the normal infotainment, and it just kind of filters over into this driver area. Now, we do have this on accessory mode, so you're not going to see any of my gauges at the moment, but it just, even when the gauges are on, it just kind of flows right through. The materials and the patterns are different. There is just some really nice details that they've added to the interior as well. And if you were wondering, yes, this will have wireless Apple CarPlay. Now, the first vehicles that are coming out are wired in. They haven't quite nailed down the technology yet, but by the end of the year, all of the vehicles will be wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the vehicles that were launched originally that didn't have it will get an over-the-air update that will then incorporate it. So something else that I think is really cool, available feature on this vehicle that is new, is going to be the fact that they have heated armrests. Heated armrests. So, and it activates when you turn on your heated seats. So I think that's really cool, and they have it for both the passenger and the driver side. I'm really glad we've moved inside the vehicle, because I don't know if you could hear it when we were outside, but it's thundering and it's getting ready to pour. So I'm gonna wrap this up so we can move on to the good things and the bad things. But just overall, the interior is a little bit simplified, refined, and the materials are much more upscale, and the details are just really well done. So refreshed, not all new, inside and outside, and the overall look is just elegant and clean. All right, it is time for me to transition to talking about the good things and the bad things on the 2025 Genesis GV80. And so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to, per usual, I'm just going to start with the things that I like, because there's actually a lot to like here. And the first thing on my like list is going to have to be the power equation. Now, full disclosure, we were driving the 3.5T models, so that's the up-level engine that delivers 375 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque. And this is just really smooth, seamless, and fast, and it's effortless. So it's not like, like it's jerky as it moves you forward. It's actually just smooth, seamless luxury, effortless, and I really like that. It's more on the luxury side of things than the sporty side of things, and I did play around with the normal mode and the sport mode, and it's similar in both, but it just, like I said, the acceleration is really nice, whether you're on the highway, merging onto the highway with traffic, passing, stop and go in the city. The power equation in this vehicle is really good. And I'm going to interject briefly here. This is not a like or a dislike, but it's an I do not hate the auto stop start in this vehicle. This actually is pretty seamless. And the thing that I noticed, because we're in Texas today and it's hot here, when the engine shuts down, you still get cool air coming out of your vents. And that previously has been a big non-starter for me when the auto stop start engine comes into play, is you're like, kind of getting hot. I'm getting hot, then it's got to be really hot. So, yeah, I like the power, and I will say that the auto stop start engine in this, it's not, it doesn't suck. It's actually pretty, I'm going to say okay. It's not good. It's okay. I don't like auto stop start, in case you missed that part. All right, we'll move on to the other 4 things that I like on this vehicle. All right, flipping the camera around, we are just going to start with this 27-inch OLED screen. I really, really like this. I think that it is simple and well designed, and it works really well. And I'm going to point out, even though it is cloudy right now, it was bright earlier, and I didn't have any kind of a problem with glare or reflection. It didn't bother me in terms of not being able to see what was on the screen. So I think they've done a really good job, even though this is hoodless, and it looks really good. I love the seamless flow. There isn't even 2 pieces of glass. There is nothing, separating the flow. And one of the things that does is if you kind of change the screen a little bit here, you can see how the map comes behind this. You can get the map to flow into this. And so it just, I don't know, it looks really cool. And from your view, you have a good view of the speedometer and then whatever you decide to put in this screen right here. And yeah, since it's been cloudy today, I've been putting the weather in there. And I will point out, I did say that I was in Dallas in the intro, and if we want to be more specific, I'm actually in the Fort Worth area. So I know I always hate it when somebody says, oh, I'm going to Chicago, and I'm like, where at? And they're like, Naperville, and I'm like, Naperville is not Chicago. So yeah, let me just say Fort Worth, not Dallas. Sorry. Yeah, so I really like this screen. I like how it works. And I will point out that if you change the drive modes a little bit, your speedometer is also going to change. So, it's a little bit of a difference, not a big difference. But yeah, you've got that going on. So we'll put it back into the comfort mode, because I think that's the normal mode. Okay, so there you go. And again, like I said, I like how that works. So then, that actually falls into the 3rd thing on the like list, and that's going to be the infotainment system altogether. So you do have redundant controls, so you can use this touch controller here, and that will adjust this. You can, hit your home button here, but you also have buttons here, and this is a touch screen. And by the way, because it's raining, I'm also going to point out, you can see there's like little raindrops up here, and that always tickles me. And that is one of the things that I missed. Kia vehicles used to do this, and they're not really doing that anymore. So that's just like a little detail that, I don't know, it amuses me. So if we want to go into the infotainment system, you have options here, and you can scroll through, you can change ambient lighting, you can, you have a mood curator, so you can have themes and music, and it will actually pipe out a scent from the air vents and play music, and that's actually kind of cool. So it can energize or calm you down. And you, this is very swipeable, very easy to use. And again, if you go to the map, it seamlessly goes into here. But here's the thing I want to point out about this. You do actually have wireless Apple CarPlay now. I don't have my phone hooked up to this. In the test vehicles that we are driving These are pre-production, so they still have the wired-in Apple CarPlay, but coming by the end of the year will be wireless Apple CarPlay, and even the vehicles that are built that don't have wireless Apple CarPlay will get an over-the-air update, and it will have wireless Apple CarPlay. So if you get your vehicle and it doesn't have it, it will. Just, this has wireless Apple CarPlay. Just know that. So I like all of those things. We played around with the Apple CarPlay, and it's actually pretty cool how it operates, because it will divide the screen and it will put your Apple Map, Google Map, Waze, whatever it is right here. It'll show your Apple CarPlay screen here, and then there's like a nice little divide, and then you still have this going. So overall, thing number 3, 2 and 3, you've got the screen itself and then the infotainment system. It just, the graphics are good. It's very swipeable. It works really well. Yeah, I like all the things. Wireless Apple CarPlay also gets a huge thumbs up. Now, thing number 4 on my like list is something that I've kind of already alluded to, and that is going to be all of the really nice details that you have on the interior and, frankly, the exterior of the 2025 Genesis GV80. So you can see here you've got the ambient lighting, and that is adjustable. You have some really nice stitching on the door panels. You have some nice quilting pattern on the seats, and you have some really interesting accent materials that are available for the trimming pieces on different color options for the vehicle. So you also have a two-tone color theme that's going on. So this is, you know, and I don't remember the exact names, but you have this creamy white and then a navy blue, and it looks elegant, you know, in this two-tone pattern that you have, you know, from the dash to the piping on the seats to, you know, just all of the little details that you have. I think this looks really good, and I think all of the material choices that they have chosen are pretty impressive, and they work really well together. You know, they have a burgundy color choice, they have a brown color choice, and they have like cream and green color choices. So and the color choices themselves will work well with whatever exterior color you choose. So you're not going to be able to get all interior choices with all exterior choices. So you're going to have to keep that in mind. Like, this specific exterior or interior choice is not going to be available with every exterior choice. So if you wanted a green car, you probably wouldn't be able to get this interior. So just keep that in mind. But all of the details, I'm totally in love with them, and I you know, they're just very clever. This right here is basalt, I don't know. Basalt. They made a yarn, and then they combined it with like recycled plastic. So but you have like texture here, so like you can feel that yarn popping up out over the plastic, and it feels really cool. So the textures and the details are really well done. Now, because this is an upper level trim, you do have like heated and ventilated seats. I think it's standard to have the dual automatic climate controls, but one of the new things, and this is going to be thing number 5 that I specifically appreciate, is the fact that when you turn on the heated seats, you also activate a heated armrest. I love that, because I'm always cold, so I can, like, you know, find a way to warm up my arm just by putting it on the armrest here. And it's good for both the passenger and the driver. So I have on my heated armrest, so my armrest is heating up. But because the heated seat isn't on here, this armrest is not heated up. So if I were in here and I had my heat on and the heated seat and the heated steering wheel and all of the things, my husband could be sitting in this seat, and he could, you know, crank down the air conditioning and turn on the ventilated seat, and no heated armrest for him. So I don't know. I totally geeking out of the stupid simple things. I love all of the heated things, and the addition of the heated armrest makes my good list. Now that we have made it through the good list, it is time to transition to the things on the bad list. I feel like I need to call it the naughty and nice list, so this is now the naughty list. So it's time to transition over to the other side. And yeah, what I want to say is none of the things that I'm about to talk to you about are deal breakers, because this is just a phenomenal vehicle. But these are just some of the things that if I were picking nits, I would have to say I don't like. All right, as we transition into the do not like list, yep, we are going to concentrate on this right here. I've mentioned this before in Genesis vehicles, but I don't like that you have two dials of similar size right next to each other that perform two different functions. So this right here is going to control your screen up here. This right here, obviously, is your gear shift. So with this, you know, you have your menu buttons up here that you can press, and then a dial. So like if you went to your home screen and then you could scroll through these things without putting fingerprints on your screen. So I like the idea of having, you know, dual controls. I do like the idea of it, but it's just the fact that these are similarly shaped and sized. The texture on both of these is the same. They're kind of this acrylic glass texture. Now, I mean, they have made this a little smaller and it's like raised up a little bit. So there is a little bit of differentiation, but I don't know. This is muscle memory. An owner would get used to this. This is not a big deal. It's a big deal when you're only driving the vehicle for 6 hours. So I don't know. Maybe I would get used to this and it wouldn't be a problem. I haven't yet. So that makes the first thing on my do not like list. Now, the second thing on my do not like list is also in this area, and it is going to be this material surrounding these touch controllers because, yeah, you can see it's already starting to get dirty and smudged. And, you know, there's probably only 3 or 4 other people who've driven this before me. And when I got in, it was kind of already dirty. And so that just, I mean, that's going to be an OCD thing that's really going to bother some people, that this material right here is hard to keep clean. I don't know what other material they could have done because black lacquer isn't it. But, yeah, I don't know. That could be bothersome for some people. Yeah, and it's going to scratch. It's already looking like it's scratching a little bit here. So that makes the second thing on the do not like list. Now, the third thing on the do not like list is probably more of a Jill problem than anything else, but it is going to be the fact that you have white on the steering wheel. And this again, it's only going to be specific to this vehicle with this trim choice. There are other options. But this would not be my choice, because if your hands are dirty at all, you're going to notice and get dirt like wherever you put your hands regularly. Like this doesn't bother me that it's white necessarily, but it's where you put your hands that bothers me that it's white. Now, the bulk of the material that is your hands are going to be touching is the darker color, so maybe they're banking on the fact that your thumb isn't going to get dirty, but I don't know. That would not be my choice. So thankfully there are other options. And like I said, this is probably more of a Jill problem than anything else. But I did mention that none of these things are deal breakers, and they would probably be a bit of a stretch because I was really reaching to find things that I didn't like on this vehicle. Now, the next thing is going to be probably a little bit of a bigger deal, especially if you live in a place that rains. And we did encounter some rain on our drive, and I had the wipers, so I had them in auto mode, and you know, they just flipped up there for you, but they don't work very well. I found that at lower speeds, the windscreen was getting really, really raindropped before it would clear, and so I would have to go ahead and just bump this to get them to clear the screen so that I could see, and that was a little bit annoying. Now, at higher speeds, the automatic wipers work really well, but if you're driving at 30 miles per hour, if you're like driving through a city someplace, the automatic wipers don't work very well, and you're going to want to put them on low. So I don't know, I just was a little bit disappointed with the automatic wipers on this. So that makes thing number 4 on my list. And while we are talking about wipers, yeah, that's going to be thing number 5 on my list, and we're going to exit the vehicle to check that out. If you come around to the back of the vehicle, this is where your rear wiper is. And this is such an elegant looking vehicle. We've already, checked out the exterior. This is such an elegant looking vehicle. It's just a bit of a disappointment to have this wiper right here. In some of the Hyundai, Kia, Genesis vehicles, they kind of hit it under the hood, and then it swoops down. And it, gets this out of the way and puts it up there, and you don't see it, and it would create a much smoother profile and a much cleaner look on the back of the vehicle than putting it here. This to me looks very inelegant for a vehicle that is overall very elegant. So picking nits, I know, but that is going to be the final thing that I don't like on the Genesis GV80. All right, it is now time for me to give you some brief driving impressions on the 2025 Genesis GV80. And what I want to say is this is a very smooth and seamless vehicle to drive. It's fast when you need it to be fast, and it's comfortable just all around. Although I will have to say I can't wait to drive it in Chicago and take it over some speed bumps. This has an available adaptive suspension, which is supposed to help smooth those out, and I want to play with that. But I digress. How do I feel about the Genesis GV80? I have a lot of warm, fuzzy feelings. There are a couple of things, as we noted, that I don't like, but overall, Genesis has knocked this out of the park. It is, you know, a right-sized vehicle where it's mid-sized, but it's not too big for a mid-sized vehicle. It's sporty in terms of its handling, and yeah, I have it in sport mode right now. Whee! But it is also just luxurious and comfortable at the same time, and all of those things I appreciate. I will say, as a petite driver, I am having a little bit of a hard time getting a good driving position. I've been futzing with it all day, and I still don't think I have it quite right. But I'm hopeful if I had this for a couple of days, I'd figure it out. But it's not one of those vehicles that I just set it and immediately feel comfortable. So there's that. But I have good visibility out the front, I have good visibility out the back, and this specific vehicle has the rear camera mirror. So yeah, I'm gonna have good visibility out of the back as well. If I had to sum up the 2025 Genesis GV80 into a single sentence, that would be hard because there's so much to say, but let me try. This is a great midsize SUV that is comfortable, luxurious, and fun to drive. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to say. All right, that is all I have to say on the 2025 Genesis GV80. Thanks for watching, and I will see you down the road.